Hello, welcome to another tonalist landscape oil painting demonstration. This is your painter in residence, M. Francis McCarthy, and the painting I'm bringing you today is called Autumn Path by a Stream. It is a 12 by 18 and I completed this last month in December. Yeah, today, 3rd of January. Welcome to the new year. Hope you're having a good one. Hope you had a good New Year's Eve. And let's talk a little bit about this painting, and there's several other things I want to get into during this short video. First off, there is a longer version of this video, full length, live as I'm painting, and that is in the members area. That's about 3 hours, and normally I think I would have spent a bit more time on a scene like this, but I've been, well, it's an ongoing process to try and keep the paintings fresh. And more, I've really come to realize that almost any time I load that painting up on the easel again, I take a real chance. There might be something small that needs to be fixed, but invariably I'll go in, and every move that you make after a certain point on a painting creates both solutions and additional problems. So many times the problem is subtle, and that problem is that you're knocking out the freshness and you're knocking out the emotion, and maybe you're doing a little better job of rendering. But let's face it, rendering is not the name of the game with fine art. And that's one of the other things I want to talk about in a minute or two is intention. I started to talk about that on a video the other day, but thought I'd leave it for another video. Yeah, because before I get into that, I want to talk about my struggles with the bit of reference I had for this painting. One of the main problems I had was I don't tend to love this sort of composition. I believe I can make it work, and I believe I did succeed in this painting. And you might go, well, it looks fine to me, Mike. What's your problem? Well, one of the things that I think you have to reckon with when you're doing a path along a stream or a river is you'll get this big diagonal triangle thing off in the corner. Now, I have a lot of strategies for dealing with that. In fact, you can see in that path, in the live video, I'm talking a bit about creating a bit of a zigzag there to break up that just giant wedge of triangleness. In my experience, granted, it's not the most extensive landscaping experience that the world's ever known, but I'm doing my bit. And in my experience, triangles in landscape don't tend to work all that well together. That's just my thing. If you're going to have some sort of triangular feature, you need to be aware that it creates a lot of issues, and you should have a plan for dealing with those issues. That's just my 2 cents. So one of my main strategies for making this work a little bit was I actually cut, in my reference, I cut those 2 main trees out, which were way over further, and pushed them over to our left. And that really helped. That one tree is almost exactly in the center, and that seemed to help. Having this empty space that's over on our right, it ended up working fine once I got all the elements positioned in a good spot. The other problem was the reference had all these down pointing branches, which I couldn't really change in my reference very well, but I basically ignored them and just painted the branches I thought should be there. And that's something you should never hesitate to do, which is to change something that's in the reference to something that's going to be better in your painting, and you may still fail. Painting is really about failing, if you ask me, and that's maybe another topic for another video, but I've covered it. And let's face it, we're on video. I think oh, that's another thing before I go jumping in further into my diatribe. I had noticed just recently that when you go to my channel and you scroll down, it only gives you videos for the last year. I had no idea. I thought, and it used to just keep scrolling and scrolling. It should have scrolled all the way down to 2015. So what I've done is I've created playlists for each year. Now, some of those playlists will include videos that are live as well. And those you're going to have to join the members area to access. But it's, I keep it pretty affordable. It's not going to cost you that dear to have access to that stuff, and that's been working out well. We have a growing members area there, and it really makes sense because a lot of those videos can be anywhere from 2 to 8 hours long. And really, the casual person looking for tips and tricks on YouTube isn't going to be hanging in there for most of that time anyway, I reckon. So, just a way of helping me, it's basically a way of helping support my art career and at the same time getting a lot of good, fly on the wall in the studio sort of instruction. Why not? Yeah, we can use the word. Now, I'm going to read a little bit from a book by Carlson. What's his first name? Carlson. John Carlson's book. Before I get into that, though, John Carlson's book, Guide to Landscape Painting, and we're going to hit that a few times coming up. And I may do a book walkthrough on it. For a book walkthrough, I don't think it's that great because the reproductions in it are pretty nasty. It was done in 1953 or something like that, or 1958, and the copy I have is a reprint from '73. It's not beautiful, but it's chock-a-block with great information. Before we get into that, though, I want to touch on the idea of intention in painting and in landscape art or fine art. What is the distinction between fine art and illustration? Well, one would be illustration's function is to illustrate something. It is art that exists for a purpose, and that is to sell a product or illustrate an idea or concept or something from a book or what have you. But it's a little broader than that because illustration is a mindset. You could create an illustration that's not actually designed to illustrate anything, and yet is very illustrative in its approach. To me, the main difference is intention, and it's emotional. It's an emotional payoff. With fine art, you have an intention of moving, motivating, or captivating somebody in a certain way, and it's not necessarily overt. It's not overt in my case. I do make a decision not to do art that I feel is harsh or ugly. I like to create art that is somewhat dreamy or moving or reflective. And tonalism definitely is the vehicle I use to drive that car. Yeah. But my intentions when I create paintings, I am happy to sell them, and I sell quite a few of them, but my intention is really to make a picture that is something that stands on its own, has a place in someone's home, and basically earns its own keep because it has a payoff for you when you look at it. It has a payoff emotionally, mostly, but it can also have a payoff that's intellectual as well. Although most of the ramifications of applying intellect to painting are, really on the part of the painter. There's a lot of thinking that's involved, not just feeling. And so I wanted to say that about intention. And with that, let's go tipping into Carlson's Guide to Landscape Painting. I was also thinking of getting into Burge Harrison's book, but he was just starting off the book with some. And I may revisit that. But I had done a little preview of this Carlson book while I was thinking of what I was going to do in this video today. Not that I always do that. But I just love how he starts it off. And this is page 9. How to approach painting. A lifetime of painting and teaching has convinced me there is a general misconception as to what art study really is. Many believe that they are reading a scientific treatise on some department of painting or in its history or appreciation. They are quote-unquote studying art. What they are doing is studying the chronological sequences of the great painters' lives, which is excellent for the intended lecturer. Or else studying a writer's report of his emotional responses to great paintings. The art of painting, properly speaking, cannot be taught. Who's been saying that to you? I haven't said it that succinctly, and that's why it's great that I'm revisiting some of these books of mine. I could see actually last time I read this book, I only got a few pages in deeper. I have gone over the whole book, but I've had this book for 10 years now. And it's a very old book, and a lot of people have a lot of respect for this book, and rightly so. Because right there, just starting off, you're getting into some serious wisdom. Moving on here with the book. Only certain means can be discussed, I believe, about art, as I believe about music or architecture. That the only way to study, in italics he says, is to practice. And that any good teacher can point out certain intellectual or technical makings, certain helps that will give a fulcrum to the lever of practice. Consider how little any eulogy or even any aesthetic treatise will help the student who first sets up his easel out of doors and faces nature, with its changing, fleeting panorama of color, light, movement, sound. How shall he even begin? Out of his pocket bulges a volume, The Influence of Art Upon Society. Or another, Does Art Uplift? ? Little good will either book perform, while that way you're dealing with the paint on the board. In this book, on the contrary, the endeavor is to present to the student of landscape painting, as well to the lover of pictures, a few of the logical and therefore teachable aids that must underlie even the most amateurish approach towards achievement in this art, or towards an appreciation of the technical difficulties involved in its creation. No one can teach quote-unquote art. No one can give a singer a glorious voice. But granting the voice an emotional sensibility, a teacher can teach a man to sing. In painting as in singing, there is no excuse for a poor technical performance. We take it for granted that a man who is to give a concert at Carnegie Hall knows how to sing. If he does not, we do not wish to listen to him. In painting, we are apt to be very forgiving of poor technical performance. Why? See what the man intended here? In art, intentions have no place, only results. Funny he should touch on intention when I was just speaking about that. Let's see what else he's got to say. We've got just a few more minutes here. In good art, the results do not have to be explained. As a matter of fact, there is but one kind of art, and that is good art. There is no comfortable halfway station. It is either fine or it is not art. Wow, he's drawn a line in the sand. I'm going to leave it there for now, but we're going to revisit this. I'm marking my spot. Yeah, it's either good or it's not art. I like that. That's good stuff. Yeah. He's so smart. There's a reason why this book has lasted. I mean, every year there's probably 20, 30, 40, who knows, 100 books that come out on painting. This one has not only survived, but is probably still in print as a new book. It would be awesome if they would redo this book. Pardon me. All of these paintings must still exist. They've got to be tracked down, photographed, and done again with, I have a book, for example, on Corot. I have another book on Rembrandt. And the color reproductions are modern reproductions. They are magnificent. If you're old like me, this looks like every book on art I ever saw. It just, even the color plates in here, they're dull. The actual paintings had a lot more to offer. And in the example of that Corot book and the Rembrandt book I'm talking about, like in the Rembrandt, you can see where he shifted the face into a subtle blue to indicate that the person had hadn't shaved recently, or, you know what I mean? It's magnificent. Anyway, that'll do it for today. Happy New Year. Hopefully you got some on this video. Definitely check out the live version in the members area. The struggle's real, and I share it with you. So Usually my successes, but I got a failure coming up that I don't mind sharing the failures when I finally manage to figure them out. Anyway, until I come back with another video, please do me a favor, do me a solid, take good care of yourself, all your loved ones and your family. Try and be patient with your enemies, and do your best to stay out of trouble.